And we touched earlier on the fact that, this in some ways is a sad day for us here in this booth because it is the final day of our partnership with iHeartRadio and WOR 710 in New York. They're our flagship station, and we have just been treated so wonderfully by everybody that we've come in contact with, from the executive level through some of the other on-air staff and behind-the-scenes staff. And I'm going to throw some names at you, because I just want you to know how great these people have been. It all starts at the top for us, and Scott Hopek is the general manager of WOR, and he's been fabulous, but the guy we've worked with on close to a day-to-day basis. We have worked for a gentleman by the name of Tom Cuddy for the last 5 years. Tom is a legend, really, in the radio business as a music programmer and now as a talk programmer, as he's been for quite a few years, and you just can't find anyone more supportive, more helpful, more pleasant and affable and warm to deal with than Tom Cuddy has been. And I know I am going to miss our professional relationship, but I will treasure our newfound friendship. And so to Tom Cuddy, the program director, and they are going to take another look at that line drive. That might have been a fair ball. And to Tom's assistant general manager or assistant program director, Scott Lakefield, for all the help that he's done also, not only at the personal level, but at the administrative level, trying to help this dunce figure out how to get his expense reports in properly, not to mention expeditiously. So Tom Cuddy and Scott Lakefield in particular, my eternal thanks for everything that you've meant to me and everybody else connected with our broadcast. But those also who work behind the scenes in the studio, our executive producer, Ray Martell, a fellow that I first got to know way back at another station down the dial. And it was great to have him on this year as our EP, and to Joe Kersey, who held that post for several years. In fact, all of it before relinquishing that role for this season. Mark Weena, Noah Fleischman, Tony Atwood. They have all been associate producers and worked diligently to get this broadcast on the air. And to our friends in the sales department who have allowed us to work with them and try to mold and also to perpetuate some absolutely fantastic partnerships that we've had over the years. From Danny Gallivan, who has headed up sales, and man, if I could be 1/10 the golfer Danny is, then I'll be very, very appreciable for just having watched him swing a golf club and had the patience to put up with me and his foursome. To Tom Verrato and Christina Schoenbeck and Brian McNoble and Bobby Coyle and all the others in the sales department who have, not only gone above and beyond what they've needed to do to maintain these professional partnerships, but have created relationships and friendships that I treasure, and I'm sure you do as well, Josh.
Well, absolutely. I mean, everybody top to bottom, it has been top shelf, but a great operation over there. And by the way, this is now a 3-minute review. Is everybody watching NFL games back in Chelsea? What are they doing?
I'm glad they're taking time, because it also gives me an opportunity to thank Len Berman and Michael Riedel. And that call of foul ball is going to stand, by the way, after all of that. But, Len and Michael have been holding down the morning show on WOR for a couple of years now. And, I kid Michael, I call him Felix all the time, coming from Broadway, not being a huge sports fan. Calling an inning or a batter in the booth on opening day this year that I'll simply just call unforgettable and leave it at that. But Len's been a friend for a long, long time, as he's a legend in the TV sportscasting business in New York. My thanks to Len and to Michael and Michael's predecessor, Todd Schnitt, and Natalie Vacca, the producer of the morning show. It was a pleasure to work with. Thank you to everyone. And thank you down in Chelsea for taking enough time to adjudicate that ball hit down the right field line to give us the time to get everybody in. And if I've missed anyone, I apologize, and hopefully I'll be made aware of that before we sign off. Obviously, to everybody in the booth here, to Wayne Randazzo and Josh Lewin and Chris Matchkowski. I figure that went without saying because we thank them every night anyway. But, again, a personal thank you for, helping to create a situation that provides and really makes this an avocation. 2-2 pitch. Swinging a hard hit ground to second, down to his right knee, McNeil. He's got it, throws to first in time, and at long last, 2 men away. We'll pause for station ID on the WOR Mets Radio Network. Well, back here at Citi Field, the Mets have closed out the 2018 season with a 1-0 win over the Miami Marlins. Noah Syndergaard goes to 13-4 with a complete game, 5-hit shutout, barely needing 100 pitches. And there's really not much to say that we haven't already in terms of summing up this season. But anytime you win the last couple, especially at home, you get a day like today, which was gorgeous. You know, you leave with a little extra bounce in your step, and maybe it just makes you look forward to the start of spring training even that much more, Josh.
Yeah, no question about it, Howie. And, I think the one thing that kind of separates it a little bit, if you are in, say, Phoenix or Miami or San Diego or L.A., and there is no winter, maybe you feel differently, but before too long here, it's going to be 2 degrees, and there's going to be snow, and that renewal that you talked about will feel great in February into March. And this year wasn't what the Mets wanted from a wins and loss standpoint. It sure was at the start. Remember, they were 11-1 to get things going, but at the end, they were strong as well. Back-to-back 1-0 wins at the very end of 2018. And we'll put a capper on it for you right now. As the fans are starting to file by the booth to wave goodbye, we wave right back and say thank you guys, everybody, for being with us all year. It was 1 run, 4 hits, no errors for the Mets today. 0-5-0 for the Marlins. Syndergaard gets to 13-4. He's not going to Disney World now. He's going to Dublin, but that's okay. And Sandy Alcantara, tough luck loss. He is 2-3. Time of the game, 2 hours and 10 minutes. Swing, swing, swing. What do we learn today? Is presented by Hofstra University. Discover you at Hofstra. Schedule a visit today at hofstra.edu/lessons. We learned that Syndergaard all of a sudden knows his complete game thing pretty well. He had never had one until this month. Now he's got 2. This one was the complete game 5-hitter. It is now a 13-4 record for Noah. He needed only 101 pitches to get this done today. First time the Mets have had back-to-back 1-0 wins since Kuzman and Cardwell in Pittsburgh, that Friday doubleheader in 1969, which was the precursor to some pretty special stuff. We learned that Jose Reyes didn't get quite the send-off that David Wright did last night, but well, at least he is now able to head off the field in a little different way. 2011, he headed off with a bunt that raised his batting average from 336 to 337. This time it was a ground out that dropped his batting average from 189 to 188. But if that is it in the career of Jose Reyes, I don't know that it is, but we wish him well. We wish anybody else who's not coming back to the Mets all the best. It was not a great season, as we mentioned, from wins and losses, but a lot of special memories were made, especially last night. If you were here, you will never forget it. And Howie, again to you and to Chris Matchkowski, who was a wind beneath our wings, to Wayne Randazzo, thank you guys so much for making this such a special year, and I hope we're all together again in February.
Well, it's always special, and I know for me, on a very, very personal level, my background, I grew up here, Upper Deck, Shea Stadium, and all that. As far as I'm concerned, there is no greater privilege in broadcasting, particularly sports broadcasting, than to sit behind this microphone, the one that brings you New York Mets baseball. So thanks for everything, and we'll see you up the dial.
You got it, bud. Once again, the final today, what a way to end it here. It was the Mets 1 and Miami nothing.
New York Mets baseball is a production of 710 WOR in conjunction with the New York Mets. The executive producer is Ray Martell, studio operations by Mark Wiener and Noah Fleischman, and our producer engineer in the booth is the immortal Chris Matchkowski. Our next broadcast will be somewhere in Florida, sometime in February. Check your local listings, and again, we will see you at our new broadcast location, a little bit up the radio dial. Fans listening on our flagship 710 WOR in New York, wake up with Len Berman and Michael Riedel in the morning from 6 to 10, Monday through Friday. And so for Josh Lewin, I'm Howie Rose. Thanks for joining us. Once again, the final score this afternoon, the New York Mets 1 and the Miami Marlins nothing. Stay tuned. Wayne Randazzo has the postgame show coming up next on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Magic 590.
Did you know you can listen to Magic 590 Radio on your phone?
You will not regret this.
Just download the free Magic 590 app for your iPhone, Droid, or tablet at albanymagic.com. If you've got a phone, you've got a radio. And now you can listen to Magic everywhere you go with the Magic 590 app. Free from Magic 590 and 100.5.
It's Oldies Radio, Albany's Magic 590.
Hi, Sid Mark here, and there's a ring-a-ding-ding thing, the sounds of Sinatra, Sunday from 10 until noon on Sunday Morning Jazz Brunch, Magic 590 and 100.5 FM.
590 AM, WROW.
Albany.
New York.
Mets postgame show, the WOR Mets Radio Network. The Mets won 1-0 today. Noah Syndergaard, the complete game shutout, a 5-hitter for Syndergaard today. The Mets did not hit a home run, but for each home run they did hit in 2018, New York Community Bank and the NYCB family of banks will make a donation to the Steven Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation. To learn more about the Siller Foundation, visit them at tunnel2towers.org. Right now, the Mets with 170 home runs. That's how it ends for 2018. 170 homers hit by the Mets this year. 1-0 the final here today. As you probably heard from Howie and from Josh, this is the last broadcast on our flagship station, 710 WOR in New York. I will echo the sentiments from those two that this was an incredible radio station to work for. Tom Cuddy, the program director at WOR, might be one of the nicest people I've ever known in my life. Just a tremendous guy to work alongside. Scott Lakefield at WOR, all the salespeople, Danny Gallivan, Tom Verano, and so on, everybody that worked so hard to help put these broadcasts together. Our executive producers over the last handful of years, Joe Kersey and, of course, Ray Martell, who's done an excellent job this year. Mark Wiener and Noah Fleischman inside the studios, who have been by our side here. It has been an incredible 4 seasons for me as a part of this broadcast. It's been unbelievable to work alongside Howie and Josh, just consummate professionals who do a wonderful job. And, of course, Chris Matchkowski, the best in the business, our producer and engineer. 2018 is over. The Mets will look ahead to the 2019 season to try to make that one a little bit better than how these last 2 have gone. They're optimistic because of the starting rotation being in place. We'll see how it goes. A new GM will be headed over, and the Mets will hopefully put things together, as this is an incredible fan base that deserves a winning team, and the Mets will try to put that on the field starting in 2019. Our guest today received a gift certificate from Uncle Jack's Meat House, the True American Bar and Grill. Our next broadcast will be from Port St. Lucie, Florida in February of 2019. Once again, for Ray Martell and Noah Fleischman inside the WOR studios, Howie Rose, Josh Lewin, and the immortal Chris Matchkowski here at Citi Field. I'm Wayne Randazzo saying good night from New York, where the final score was the Mets 1, the Marlins 0 on the WOR Mets Radio Network.
590 on your radio, AlbanyMagic.com on your digital devices, and 100.5 FM.
590 and 100.5, the capital C.